This is my Oster Regency Kitchen Center stand mixer, blender, meat grinder, ice crusher. It does a lot and it has a lot of accessories, but I only have the whisks and the dough hooks. I've never actually cooked anything with the dough hooks, but I blended some things. But I have a problem, and this video is to show a solution that I found, a few solutions. So the problem that I had was when I turned it on, the bowl, I'll turn that off so you can hear me, the bowl would not spin very well. So the bowl spins with the blender blades, with the mixer blades, but what it would happen is I would put something in there and I would be mixing something, but then it would consistently get stuck and it would stop and I would have to break it free. And I wasn't even blending anything that big. It was just regular like pancake mix or something. So nothing that crazy, but the way the system works. So the first thing you want to check is your whisks. They got to be in the right order. I always put them in the right order, so I don't know what happens if you don't, but there's a round tip one and a square tip one. The square tip one has to be in the middle of the bowl, and the round tip has to be on the outside edge. And then importantly, the round tip, it needs a plastic cap. So let me release these. So at the end of the original whisks is this plastic cap, and this plastic cap is very important because that's what contacts the bottom of the bowl and causes it to spin. There's no other system connecting the turntable to the blender. This isn't like the KitchenAids where the bowl is fixed and the blades themselves move around the bowl. It actually needs the turntable to work. So that's the first thing to check. If you're missing that piece, or yours is like really worn down or broken, well, you might need to go on eBay and look for a new set of whisks or something. But I'm not sure if there's a replacement part for that. Maybe it could be 3D printed, but it's like a couple millimeters. So I guess that's the math you need if you want to try and make your own. But anyways, so that's the first step. That was not my problem. So mine, I already took the fastener that was there. I'll show you how to take it off in a moment. But my issue is that my turntable, it's not a perfect circle. These are from the 70s and 80s, so they were molded with not as high quality as today. So it was kind of like two ovals rolling in each other, spinning in each other. So I would spin this, and I don't know if you can see, but it keep that gap around the bowl. It changes in thickness, like the gap between it. It just changes smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger. So it's oval shaped, and what happens is the way these are molded is that they come off of the machine, the sprue at the edge on this end. And so what would happen is there was some mold flash on the edge of my one of the circles, this inside circle, and I needed to cut that off. So the mold flash was actually sticking out by not even 0.5 millimeter, but it was enough to consistently get it caught. And so what I had, you don't need to take off the fastener to do that fix, but what you need to do is you need a thin blade, and you need to be careful and find where that spot is. It's like a bright white, it stands out. It's just regular mold flash. It's on all cheap plastic, but in this case, it happened to be in an important place. And just carefully shave it off with the blade. This is the bottom of the turntable, so any damage you do to this isn't going to do much. Just make sure you're not creating more of a mess for it to get caught on. So typically that'll fix it. If you use these glass bowls, they have so much weight and momentum that when you just usually fix that, they'll spin for days. So that's the benefit of the glass bowls, is all that momentum. But if you're using the stainless bowls, maybe that might not be enough, or maybe you're just crazy like me and want to be able to service something, because the right to repair something should be true for everything. And in this case, it actually says do not immerse in water, and that's because there's a bearing system in here, but it's actually a really cheap one, which I'll show you. But removing this screw, and it's not even a screw, this is a fastener right here. It's rounded, so you actually, it's not serviceable. That's what's frustrating. But like we can write this letter to Oster. This was who knows how many years ago. And this screw, you can see it's like it's a type of thread that is not installed using a tool. It's pressed in, and it's pressed into the plastic by a machine and not screwed in. And the ridges in there is what keeps it and holds it in place. There's also a washer too. I'm gonna replace this, and when I find a replacement, I'm going to link it in the description so you can see. But anyways, the way that I got that screw out was a couple different tools. Hopefully that wasn't in landscape the whole. May have messed that up. Anyways, I have these plastic trim removing tools. I got these from AutoZone or O'Reilly's, and they're I got these from Harbor Freight, and I think they were like $6. Sometimes they're on sale for like less than that. But anyways, what I did is I wedged one, this round tip one, the thinnest tip round. I wedged it underneath there, and this is pretty flexible. I mean, your mileage may vary. Yours might be brittle or sun destroyed, UV damage, but mine are actually in pretty great shape, so I didn't mind flexing it a bit. And these turntables are like $8 on eBay. So, but I flexed it in there, and then from there I pushed it between both pieces, top and the bottom, all the way until I got to the center. And that wasn't enough, but what happened was it gave me room to fit another one, which I did the same thing, but this one I had to slowly work around until it was on the opposite side. And so I had two blades on the other side. And at that point, this thing, it took me a while to do that, but, and it kept snapping closed on this end, and it took patience, but eventually I got them there. I got more confidence because I realized this thing was not going to break. It's pretty good, at least mine was. And theoretically, you could probably get all four of them in there. But when I did that, that was enough room for the screw. The screw was lifted just enough for me to fit these cutters, these bolt cutters, you could say, like flush cutters. I think that's what they're called. You don't need to get this brand. I inherited these, but this is was able to squeeze just enough, and it took a lot of force. And I didn't care about damaging this area because once again, that goes underneath the bowls, and you know, I use this. This isn't really a display, so I was trying to just make it functional again. And once I was able to wedge this on there, and I didn't want to intentionally break it, so I did have a towel laid around the edge like that, and I was putting this on there while also resting it on the towel, so I wasn't like totally destroying it, because I don't want to ruin the mating surface to the bowls, but I did ding it up a bit. But then finally I was able to get the screw up. And if you get it up more than like 5 millimeters, like half a centimeter, at that point you should be able to just grab a pair of good strong grabbing pliers, and you should be able to, if you squeeze really hard on it, you can twist it out like it's an actual screw that lost, you know, doesn't have a top on it, like you sheared that or whatever. But anyways, and then that's what it looks like on the inside. So that bearing system is a plastic ring with small bearings that are maybe like like 3 millimeters in diameter. They're really small. I've already lubricated them. But yeah, that it is not a really good system. There's a reason why they didn't care about making this serviceable, because this is as cheap as possible. They'd probably wanted you to order a new one straight from KitchenAid, or not KitchenAid, Sunbeam. Straight from Sunbeam, Oster, Sunbeam, all of them. But anyways, once I got this far, I took some, probably a little bit of WD-40, but I wouldn't spray it on there because this is all plastic and it's not a good design, because what happens is when you have this on there, you'll notice that the lip is right there, and the lip, it hangs over the bearing. So the bearing on the reverse side can just go over there. So if you grease it too much, then it's just going to start dripping out onto your base, and you probably don't want that. So it's better just to keep it in the trays you can, best as possible. I just did a tiny drop on each bearing. This is what I use, 3-in-1, just the tip. It comes out really slow. That's what I like about this stuff. And look, I'm turning it upside down. It's not even pouring out, and you're in a moment going to see it start coming out slowly. And that's what I like about this stuff. Come on. Well, it'll come out eventually, but it comes out slowly. And once you get that on, oh, and I put some around the center of that base, just a small little ring there. There's no sense in greasing any of the rest of it, because there's only contacts on the bearings and a little bit in the middle. That's it, just a tiny bit. There is not any contact, no scratches. You can tell just by how clean this is. Where the wear marks are, there's no wear marks. I wiped it a bit because I got grease. There's only wear on the outer edge and the very middle, and that's it. So that's where the contact points are. But once you get that done, you're able to put it back together. Get it on the base, test it with your bowl, just like that. And like I said, when I'm going to Lowe's, I'm gonna share the part number that I have, the type of screw. You don't need to get the one from Lowe's, but there's a number screw that you can look on Google or Amazon and probably find a pack for like $1 or $2. I'm just gonna get a plastic screw, and I'll share that. But the final note is, if you just don't want to deal with any of this, and even though you went to the thrift store and you fell in love like I did with this set, which happened to have almost all its pieces, and it was only like $20. And then you realize this isn't as good as either the newer stuff like the KitchenAids, or even the older Sunbeams, which is the same brand. These right here are, if you care about using older things and not buying new things and adding to the landfills and stuff, this would be a better option, because this is fully serviceable. Well, more serviceable than this. This one is more serviceable. I think it looks nicer. It doesn't have as many accessories as this, but really I'm only blending anyway. But this one right here, the turntable, doesn't have a bearing on it. This is a one piece. Well, I mean, one pin and then one piece of plastic, one solid piece. And then the bearing is actually, let me see if I can even show it on the camera. It's between those two rings. So there's the base and then this, and it's a press and bearing. Let me take this. So there it is. There's a couple bolts right there, probably 1/4-inch drives. Get those out, and then you have access to the bearing right there. It's press in. Might take a little work to get that lock washer out, but this is actually serviceable. You don't even need to take it fully apart. You would just need to take it off of the base so that you can grease the visible bearing there, which is a much better design. If this thing ever get, like you can hear, I need to service one. I just got this one. I need to clean it up, but you can, that's crusty, but that's repairable, that's replaceable. But that's because the even older the even older mixers. And this is a Sunbeam. It's faded off. These older ones are a lot more serviceable. This particular model is kind of annoying because I have the version that has a cap. This cap needs to come off if you want to grease any of the gearboxes here or anything. This cap is, it uses hooks, metal hooks that are pushed in. And so the only way to get this out kind of damages it, which is annoying. But there's later models that have this glued on, and you just need a heat gun to peel it off. So those ones are probably a little better. It's the same. Everything else is the same. It's just they just changed the method of being able to service it. But eventually, when I take this apart, I'm gonna have to be really careful not to bend this metal or anything. But anyways, there's a solution. I think these are cool, but I might end up just giving this one to my sister and seeing what she can do with it. But anyways, if you have any questions, I can try and help in the comments. But thanks.